welcome to Dramatic Knits. My name is Steve, also known as Dramatic Knits.
And I'm Callie, also known as Casters.
And today is Monday, July 17th, 2017. This is episode 286. Yes, just had to quickly check my show notes. And if you are a returning viewer, thanks for coming back one more week. And if you're new, hopefully you enjoyed today's show and you'll come back in the future. So, it's been just over 2 weeks, by a day. So, how have you all been? Hopefully really good. Hopefully enjoying the warm weather if you're in the, northern hemisphere. If you're in the southern hemisphere, well...
enjoy your knitwear!
Yes, exactly. Let's put a positive spin on that. Let's just jump right in with a quick 2-week in review. Leading Men Fiber Arts has a new vehicle for about the past 10 days. Andy and I were lucky enough, we've been looking for a cargo van in order to kind of get rid of the trailer, because I am not so comfortable driving said trailer, as if you're a longtime viewer, you know I did damage to said truck with said trailer. And so we'd been looking, and a cargo van kind of fell into our laps here in town. We thought it might have been a little small, but it actually works out just great. I mean, it is smaller than the trailer, but, we have to stack and organize a little bit better. But it even has a better turning radius than the truck, so it drives really well. The cargo is not, or the cabin is not as comfortable as the truck by any means. I'm kind of right on top of the pedals, so my thigh muscle on my driving leg gets a good workout because I gotta kind of hover, and it's just smaller, and the seats are, it's a work van essentially, but it's got the bells and whistles we were looking for at a much cheaper price than what we were expecting. So, no, we're no longer truck people. We're now van people. Well, I am. It's now my everyday vehicle that I get to drive everywhere. So, I'm happy with the decision. So I got to drive it up to the northern suburbs of Grays Lake. Last Monday I spoke at the Crocheters of the Lakes Crochet Guild, and I did a Q&A over Leading Men Fiber Arts and hand dyeing yarn, and I got to sell a little bit of our yarn. They were a great crowd. I did not expect them to keep me going for an hour. I felt a little bit like a stand-up comedian because, telling my stories and things, when I break out of my shell and I get a little bit more comfortable, well, you guys know, I do the show. Sometimes I can crack a joke here or there. So that was a lot of fun, but I did not get home till like 12:15 at night, and I ended up having to drive through downtown Chicago in new van, in the dark. I don't do a lot of night driving anymore because I'm an old person, and I just don't leave my house. But I got through it, and it was a long day. And then Friday, Andy and I headed with the new van to Lebanon, Missouri, and we vended at Fiber U this past weekend. It was our second year there, and it was a good crowd. Not a very, very busy show, but good quality people, and the event focuses on education. I did teach my boomerang class twice, once on Saturday, once on Sunday. My Saturday class had one person in it, so it was more of a kind of one-on-one session. But the ladies in my class yesterday, I had about 5 people in my class yesterday, and they were an excellent crowd and took a lot away from the class. So that was a lot of fun. Callie's mom showed up yesterday because she vacations down there, and she was just a hop, skip, and a jump away. So she walked into our booth, and I was like, "What you doing here?" It was just odd. But we had a good, we caught up. We hadn't seen each other in a while, so it was a good conversation.
And apparently no sweater quantities were sold.
No. Her mom asked me if she needed anything. Not necessarily from our booth, and I thought of any of the other vendors, but a lot of the hand dyers, Callie's seen in person. There was maybe 5 hand dyers in all the vendors. There's a lot of alpaca farms and fiber vendors, if you know what I mean. So I didn't think there was a whole lot Callie needed. She was like, "You could have sold her a sweater's lot of your yarn," and I was like, "Well, I wasn't going to do that." So, but overall it was a good event. We drove back late last night, got home, and promptly went to bed, and then got back into the swing of things this morning, getting the dye pots going, because we got a lot going on here in the next few weeks, which I'll talk about later in the end of the show. So that's kind of been my 2 weeks. I can't think of anything else that's been going on.
My last 2 weeks have been pretty busy.
What? Your
I
life is
know.
busy?
I know, crazy. Fair-filled with pre-fair activities. Doing double duty with my job as far as like I do club management, volunteer management, all the club fiscal policies, recognition, college or scholarships, and Clover Beds. So my world in the summer collides with fair and whatever I have to be responsible for on the fair side of things. And that has been a little tricky because I really want to take vacation at the end of fair, so that means a lot of things have to line up in order for me to do that. So fingers crossed that will happen because I'm sitting on, once fair is over, 5 weeks of vacation. So I need to start using it, otherwise I will lose it. And that's not really cool to begin with. This past weekend, Saturday I drove down to see my friend Marcella and her husband Eric and their new son, Langston Otha. Otha, in case if you wanted to know, because I had no idea where the name came from, was Eric, Marcella's husband's great-grandfather. That was his name. So he's named middle name-wise after him. And got to hold him for like ever, and that was great because I got him to fall asleep, and he was conked out for like 2.5 hours. So like I couldn't move my arm, and I was okay with that. But that was really great. But I will say that we ended up all going to Denny's. Like by the time we got there, it was like around 1, and by the time we left, it was around 2-ish. And so I didn't pull into my driveway until 4 o'clock on Sunday morning. And the newspaper was already there. I didn't realize that someone in our area jogs that early and is wearing like this super reflective vest, which praise Jesus, because if he was not wearing it, I swear I would have hit him. Like that's the honest truth. So go him for being smart.
That is smart, because we came across 2, if not 3 people walking on highways, the 2-lane, no-lit highways between here and Springfield last night, and I popped out of nowhere on me, and they were very lucky they came out unscathed. When you should not be, it's illegal to walk on a highway, but,
yeah,
you know, whatever.
So I was really happy about that. I was not so happy that I woke up at like 8 something. My day felt off yesterday, and then as a result, today also felt off. So yeah, it's been busy. It'll still be busy. I might not be recording the next time with you just because it will be right smack dab in fair.
Probably not then, because I'm going to have to record, and I'm sorry for the lines across my face. We are recording later in the evening. Again, sun setting. I got the drapes closed, but, you know, blinds. But probably not, because I'll have to record on a Monday or Tuesday again, because we will be vending up in the Chicagoland area in 2 weekends. So,
well, actually, that might work, because Stitches falls during our fair week this year.
It won't be Stitches. It's the week before
Just
Stitches.
kidding. I was testing everyone.
Best of luck. So, yeah. Real quick, I want to ask, are you thinking anything in particular for vacation?
Yes.
But you're not saying?
Correct.
Okay. Well, I want to put a feeler out there. Andy actually realized, through finagling of some days, that he has enough time to take a week off of vacation. So we're trying to plan our vacation, and we're just trying to get feelers out there. We were thinking of taking a cruise, but we kind of want to be pampered. We have a budget, which isn't a healthy budget for a vacation. But the rooms we were looking at, of course, have all been taken for the November, December cruises, which is when we're looking, either right before Thanksgiving or between Thanksgiving and Christmas kind of area. So we're now thinking we're going to go to some sort of resort. And so I was wondering, is there any resorts out there? I'm talking like 5-star, 4.9 out of 5 stars. Again, we're looking for something really good, nice, good. It's our 10-year anniversary here in the next month, less than a month, so this is kind of an anniversary trip for us as well. So if there's any of the kind of tropical islands, Mexico, those types of things that you guys have been to that you would highly recommend, we'd like an ocean view and a balcony and, you know, all-inclusive, preferably. If it's adults only, that's even better. Andy was looking at some stuff in Cancun, and then yesterday he was looking at stuff in St. Lucia. So if you guys would recommend anything, please either private message me through Ravelry, or you can leave some comments on YouTube. I would greatly appreciate it, because we're still trying to get some feelers out, but we're gonna kind of go a little luxury with this vacation as much as we can anyway.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we're really excited. Tropical's not my thing, but I've heard of what people call sun shirts. Because I don't like going around without my shirt on, so it'll hug every curve, but still don't have to go around without my shirt on. So.
It's funny you say that, because my bestie that lived in Guam and who is in the Navy, she just got relocated to Florida. And we talked on the phone yesterday, which, by the way, is amazing when you don't have to think that hard for a time conversion. Like, because, yeah, I have the world clock on my phone, and I have Guam set, so that way I could, just look at it. But being able to call or text and not have to think about it and just think, oh, they're just an hour ahead is amazing. Because I haven't been able to do that for over 5 years with her. And, but she's in Florida now, and we were talking, and she was like, with her military discount and like just some of the things that are available to her for where she's at in Florida, she was like, we could go on a cruise for like $150 each. And I was like, this is amazing, and I don't even know what to like think. And I told her, I was like, you do realize like I sunburnt like ridiculous. And she was like, it's fine, Callie, you can stay on the balcony on the cruise ship the whole time. So who knows?
That was kind of my plan. Like, that's why we wanted a really nice room on the cruise ship, because Andy's like, I know you are going to want to knit and just look at the ocean. Like, I may gamble a little bit, we may go to a nice dinner, but I don't want to be in all the water park stuff with all the kids. Like, that was not my deal. So, and Andy's kind of getting excited because he's gotten into Lego. So I haven't told you guys, Andy's 40th birthday was last Thursday.
Mom told me.
Yes.
And I was like, what? At first I thought she misspoke.
She thought you guys would be kindred spirits because of all your Lego growing up. But Andy did not know that people do like these huge Lego as adults and things like this. So for his birthday, I got him the Millennium Falcon. Now he was initially intrigued by the Death Star, which runs about $500. And I was like, honey, I love you. It's your 40th birthday, but you're not getting that. Because I didn't know if he would like it. You know what I mean? It was just something, it was a listening gift. Couples, you know what I'm talking about, right? Where you kind of, ooh, I store that away, and then it's a thoughtful gift. Lego is a thoughtful gift just because I listen. So, I was like, well, I know you like Star Wars and whatnot, and this, the Millennium Falcon was a little bit cheaper. So he got to open it up and just look at the pieces, and then we had to go to Missouri. Well, we knew that Sunday at the show is kind of slow, and Andy was a little restless last year, so on Saturday night we went to the local Walmart in Lebanon and looked at Lego, and he got, I pointed out to him, it's a camper, but it's a 3-in-1, and it could be a camper.
It's from the Create.
And it could be a boat, and it could be something else. And it has like a bear, and you can cook out, and he's made the camper so far, and he's super excited. But he actually has been getting into it. He worked on it a little bit at the show on Sunday, and then he sat down tonight when he got home and worked for like a half hour, 45 minutes. I said, you need to relax, go Lego, because I'm using it as a verb in case you don't know. It is an action, to Lego. And then he came home with a new set today from Star Wars. So I was like, you're turning into me with Yarn Stash. I said, maybe you should finish one before you buy a new one. And then I was like, I can't say that. I can't say that. So.
Oh my God. Seriously, if anybody were to know outside of this podcast, Andy and I are pretty close in almost everything. Like, food-wise, we're on the same page. Picking on you, same page. Legos now.
True story. Anyway.
Books, it's amazing.
So now that we're 15 minutes in and you guys have caught up with us over the past 2 weeks, shall we get to the knitting as I'm glowing with sunlight? Yes, let me tell you about my 3 finished objects. That's right, 3. So the first one that I finished has been on the needles for about 8 months. But it's a wah-wah story. So I finished my Rogers-esque cardigan jacket by Mary Townsend using Barocco Weekend DK in color number 2144, which is the squash colorway, using sizes 3 and 5 US, which is a 3.25 and a 3.75 millimeter needles. Now, 1, it is the summer, so I'm not wearing it. 2, it hugs all my curves in all the wrong places. And 3, a negative ease cardigan, a retro cardigan that's supposed to be kind of, 50s inspired, does not look good on a big boy. So, here's the cardigan. I'm super happy with it, other than I really fudged, I knit too much on the neckline, so it's a little wrinkly. It does lay on the neck okay, but it's got the folded over hemmed collar. I picked up some buttons at my local yarn store.
But the seaming is on point.
Yeah, I feel like I did a really nice job with all the different back stitching, whip stitching, mattress stitching. There was a lot of different seaming that I had done. So, and you can see the back here. But, I mean, I put it on, and the seam of the shoulder fits really well. But it's a tight sleeve, and, it hugs my, what do you call it? Your spare tile, my love handles real well, because it's kind of fit, and then don't ask me to close it, which I kind of knew, but it really accentuates the tummy when you're leaving it open like that, when it's small. Now, my portage, the way it's shaped, I don't think is as bad, but so that being said, I'm going to be taking it over next time I visit our friend Amber, the yarn hoarder, and seeing if her husband and her son, if it'll fit them. So, and I tried, but yellow isn't really my color. I mean, I would have worn it, but we'll see. Don't look at... all you're seeing is the, worst part of the sweater, which is, how I fudged and seamed this collar, but it is what it is.
So intrigued. I try on all of Steve's sweaters once he gets finished with it.
Hey, if it works for you...
I really did like the portage, though. We're being honest.
I liked that one, and that's my go-to sweater that I wear the most. But if it doesn't work for one of them and it works for you, then I kind of already told her that it would.
Oh, I know.
So. The second thing I finished is my Father Time cowl that I was knitting using a Leading Men Fiber Arts sock blank. It hadn't been named. Using a size 4 US, which is a 3.5 millimeter needle, and it's an unintentional Mobius. It's still a little damp. I blocked it this morning. But this is it in half, so it's an infinity cowl. And I tried to block the Mobius in there so it wouldn't... But it hangs pretty darn low. Because that's it now blocked doubled, which is what the intended pattern was supposed to be, that you wore a closer loop and a longer loop. So this is actually going to be, I've decided, donated to a charity event. That is being hosted by the lovely ladies of Operation Chemo Comfort, which we do a hat drive for in the fall, which we'll be doing again, and I'm going to have so many hats to donate this year. I'm so excited. But they're doing a charity event in October, and I'm going to donate this as... So it's all discombobulated. Anyway, but I'm going to donate it as a I don't know if they're doing a silent auction or what have you, but that's that. So that's number 2, and I used pretty much the whole entire sock blank, one full skein. And then number 3, I cast on 2 hats. You'll see the second one later at the Fiber U, and I cast this on Saturday, and I finished it Sunday morning. This is Apocalypse in Leading Men Fiber Arts box office, and I was like, oh, it's spiraling and pooling, but it almost striped. Can you guys see that? Oh. It was more swirling in the brim, but then when I went up to the size 6, 2x2 ribbing on the brim for 2 inches, and then I knit stockinette on a size 8 till 8 inches, and then I did my decreases, which you can see there. But I tried to make Andy wear it, he's like, I look like I did. well, he not safe for recording language. But I knit them with slouch because I figure it's better to have more room and not be so tight on the head, especially if they're going to be donated to chemo patients. So I wanted something larger, that's not going to just fall off, but it's not so tight. So really like this. I need to get some pictures taken because I want to use this as a swatch of how Apocalypse knits up for our online shop. So there's that. I finished a hat.
Well, I have one finished object. I finished The Girl from the Grocery Store by Joji Locatelli, and I used Cascade Heritage yarns, sock yarn, and I used a size 6 US, a 4.0, and it's finished. All I have to do is block and weave in ends, but I like how it turned out with all its fun knitwear mistakes made by me, because reading is fundamental. But I like it. It turned out nice, and I will probably gift this. Once it's all blocked and everything, then I'll do a Knitters Pay It Forward contest in the group, and more details will be given once that's all completed. So, yeah.
I would say just join the Ravelry group if you're not already a member, and keep an eye out on the boards, especially since, if you're potentially taking the next episode off, then it's going to be a while, and that way you're watching the boards and we get more activity in our group.
Yes.
Awesome. That turned out really well.
Yeah, it was a really easy pattern, and if lace is intimidating to you, it was super intuitive, super easy. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, let's get into what's performing this week. What are we working on? Well, the first thing for me is my Starting Point Mystery Knit-Along, which is no longer a mystery, by Joji Locatelli. And I'm using Leading Men Fiber Arts Show Stealer, 5 different colorways. And I finished the first half up to clue 4, because there's 5 clues, but you have to have both halves done before you finish, or before you could do clue 5. So here is my start to the second half. I had to go back to the beginning. Okay. But let me show you the first clue. It's all over the place. I'd forgotten where I put it. So, and I just kept, you had to have half the stitches on one needle and half on the other needle, or on, stitch holders. The nice thing about interchangeable needles is you can just leave the cords on and put stoppers on. There you go. So here's where we're at with the first half through clue 4. All right, and the gray is London Fog. The green is Double Your Pleasure. The speckle is a custom speckled colorway that I've done. The black is Darkest Hour, and then the gold is Smoky Quartz. And so I did the no lace version up until this portion that didn't give me a not lace option. So I did the eyelets in the center portion. But this is going to be a big feature in the middle of the shawl, so I figure it's fine to have the eyelets there. It doesn't bother me. But I've seen the way it wears on people, and it's just a big, huge, comfy scarf almost. And I'm like, I might be a little trendy this winter to be able to pull it off. Especially if I'm going out to knitting or whatever, realize my life is probably going to be a lot more comfortable going out places, just because not every day going to work and having to dress professionally. Yeah. So,
cool.
That's number 1. Second thing I'm working on is Gills Rock by Paula Emmons Feasley of Knitting Pipeline fame, and I'm using Quince & Company Finch in the Slate colorway and a size 6 US 4mm needle. And I have finished the first 3 charts, and you go back and do the first 2 again. So it is a smaller shawl, and Paula did email me to say, hey, you're knitting my shawl, and then she said she's even thinking about doing some adjustments in the future to sport and DK weights to make a bigger shawl. So you can see there this subtle texture. It's almost basket weave, but not. So enjoying that. I haven't worked on that in a while. but it'll be, and I'm on to the second of the 50-gram skeins, so we're moving right along. We're trucking along on that one. All right, next up is my Bell Star socks by Show Me Yarn boot heel base in the Bell Star colorway, and they were vending this weekend. Hopefully they had a really good show. And this is on size 1 US 2.25 millimeter needles, and I finished the first sock minus the heel. And in the hotel at night, and a little bit on the way home yesterday, up until about St. Louis, because once we got through St. Louis, I took over driving. I got the completed through the leg, the cuff in the leg of the second sock. So I need to put in my waist yarn and then start down the foot. So I really love, they do a really nice job with self-striping, and I love how it's almost speckled. It just, and the transitions are seamless, and they're like 2 to 3 row stripes. I mean, they're so small, and they fade with this one really well. So I think they do an excellent job. All right, next up, I got kind of a lot of projects on my needles, is my Death Rides a Tart Horse striped garter stitch boomerang. So I was working on this during my classes, and what did I do with it? Excuse me. There it is. And I'm trucking along on it. I did a little bit more work on it. And here we are. Kelly's super excited about this one.
I am.
If you watched last episode, she was very...
leg claim.
Yeah, she was like, I really like this. And I was like, okay, good. It doesn't have a home. So, I think the white spots are popping out super well on the screen.
Yeah.
So, and all I'm doing is I'm striping the 2 colors. It's Madeline Tosh Merino Light, and then Nidian Colors Acoustic Sock in Death Rides a Horse. And I'm just striping the colors every 2 rows and carrying the yarn up the top edge. So I did a little bit of the Death Rides a Horse and then started striping, and I will run out of the Tart here soon-ish, and then I will finish off with, again, the Nidian color. So, and that's on a size 6 US 4 millimeter. Excuse me, my nose decided to start moving. And then, not last yet, I cast on a second hat yesterday, but I did not finish it. I had to go teach my class and whatnot. This is Leading Men Fiber Arts box office again. Same recipe as the Apocalypse and what I've been doing previously in the Tequila Sunrise colorway. So I finished the ribbing, and I'm now into the stockinette portion. So, loving this as well. Alright, last but certainly not least, I cast on at Knit Night this past week, and I'll work on it again tomorrow, is My Girl from the Grocery Store by Joji Locatelli. And I'm using 2 skeins of Hedgehog Fibers sock yarn. This one is Juniper, and this one is something else. Spell. And I'm using a size 7, I think is what the pattern calls for, which is super open. If you know Hedgehog Fiber sock, it is a really thin fingering weight. So this is going to have so much drape and open up to be probably ginormous. But, and see, it's funny because your stripes look so much smaller than mine, I think. But look how big my gauge is compared to yours. So I've got 2 stripes in. So you see how big my 2 stripes are compared to all of Kelly's shawl? This thing is probably going to be like, it's just going to hit water and then just fall to the floor probably. So, but I was like, I follow the pattern.
But that's also kind of how we knit. My boomerangs are a lot more dense than yours, typically.
And you usually go down to a 4. Mm-hmm. I use you as an example in my class. You get talked about.
Yay.
So, I was enjoying it. It's like Callie said, it's a super easy pattern. The whole pattern is 1 page. So, including the lace. So
Yeah.
there's that. So that's what I'm working on currently, just those few things.
I'm really actively only working on one thing, mostly because that's all my brain can kind of handle right now. But I'm working on the Snow Day shawl by Mina Phillip, and I really like this. It is really, honestly, Mina Phillip is an amazing knitwear designer, first of all. And also, if you're not watching the Knitting X-Pack podcast, you really ought to be. But her patterns are so well written. This is kind of what it looks like. It's not kind of, it is what it looks like. But they are super well written. I don't even know the last time that I worked on this. Probably in February. Before I had my surgery, definitely. So February. And I wasn't totally for sure where I was at, and I read my knitting, and I read the pattern, and I figured it out really quickly. But I finished the first step, and it's a garter, so that's where I'm at. And I'm using a size 7 US, it's 4.5 millimeter, and I'm using Rocco. Nope, just kidding. I'm using Cascade 220 Sport. It's in a white colorway, a dark blue, and like a medium blue. So, because if you've been a long time viewer, these are kind of my color jam. So, kind of matches my bag too. That Steve got me.
That does work really well.
So, it's one
it's like
of
you planned that.
Yeah, it's one of Amy Beth's bags. And when you gave it to me, you were like, it's like you're the mom and it's like me and Andy. I was like, oh, that's adorable, but you really put some thought into that. But yeah, it's going really well. Honestly, if you're looking at any of Mina's patterns, go for it, because without seeing any of her other, without owning any of her other patterns, I have no doubt that they're equally as well written. So.
Awesome. Sorry. I'm trying not to yawn again. It's later, and we actually haven't had dinner. Andy and I are going to go out and get dinner when we're done here. So, in rehearsal, I have nothing planned. I think I have enough on the needles to keep me busy for, a little bit. But, yeah, so nothing for me.
For me, it depends on if I go on vacation or not. Because if I do go on vacation, I've kind of got it mapped out to start and finish Christmas gifts, because I will be in a location where there is no Wi-Fi, there is no access to really any technology.
So she's not telling us where she's going, and there's absolutely no digital communication. So when she disappears and, ends up on, Unsolved Mysteries
with Robert Stack. Oh. Don't worry. I will text Steve a picture every day of what I'm wearing when
There's
I go
no Wi-Fi
out.
or cell service.
It's spotty, but there definitely is no Wi-Fi for sure.
Alright, so did you talk about what so behind the scenes, my spinning. I forgot to bring it up here because it's somewhere in a few bins of inventory from the show that I have not unpacked yet. But I did finish my Three Waters Farm BFL in the early blooming colorway. There are pictures up on my Handspun page if you're super interested. It came out beautifully. I got 340 yards of a 2-ply sport weight. It will be uploaded and updated to the shop, Leading Men Fiber Arts, here soon. So keep an eye out on Instagram and or Facebook to see if you're a handspun lover and like to knit with handspun, or if you're just interested in what it looks like. But I did start a new braid of fiber, and this is some Leading Men Fiber Arts fiber, which we had some questions this weekend about where's your fiber, and we haven't really discussed it, but we've kind of moved away from dyeing fiber only because it wasn't our biggest seller, and we're having a hard enough time keeping up with dyeing the yarn. So we're not saying it's never going to happen, but we have made the decision that fiber, when it is dyed, which is not in the foreseeable future right now, will be purely for our shop, our online shop, maybe in our booths, but you won't see it at any of our retailers. It won't be a wholesale thing. So this is some Superwash Merino in the That Somewhere colorway, which was originally dyed as an SSK Super Summer Knit Together colorway several years ago. So it's spinning up pretty nicely. I'm happy with it. I split it in half. It was about 3.1 ounces. It was the short braid. That's why I got it. And so I'm doing a 2-ply fractal spin again. So I'll split this 3 ways down the length of the braid and then spin those. So that's what I'm working on in the land of spinning. All right, let's move on into the Scene Shop. Is coming back, Other Crafting, because I got a little bit of a bug up my rear about doing some cross stitch, and so I've been working a little bit here and there without the stress of worrying about it on my cross stitch. So this is a Dimensions kit called In the Moment, and I thought to take it off the hoop, and then I'm like, but it's perfectly positioned and I don't need to take it off, so this is all I really have done. And all it says is live life in the moment. And anyway, it's at the bottom to show you the picture. But I'm working on the I of in. I'd finished the N. So there you go. This is done on a 28 count even weave. That's all I know. The kit came with 8 14 count, and it was stiff as a board and hurt my finger to try to cross stitch through it. So felt comfortable enough going through that, and I really like the even weave other than the fraying at the ends, but I've got enough play on the fabric that it's not going to unweave. There's a lot of extra room. So, but I'm enjoying it. Just doing a little bit here or there again. So that's that. Let's move on in the spotlight. What are we watching and reading? I finished Penny Dreadful. Have you? My sister asked me about it the other day when she was over for dinner, I think, and she's like, are you done with that yet? And I said, I actually just finished it last night. She goes, good, I want to watch it, because she kind of shares. My mom has access to our Netflix account. Well, my sister kind of also does. And she's like, I've been wanting to watch, but I knew if I went back and watched the beginning, it would then throw you off, because we haven't set up different people. We need to, though, different profiles or whatever. We need to. Lord, do we need to. Because when I go back and it's like, because you previously watched, and I'm like, no, I did not watch these things. I would never watch these things, but my sister and my mom would. But anyway, I finished Penny Dreadful. I did not care for the ending. I just thought it was kind of meh. The whole 3rd season I thought was meh. So, there's that. We're still watching The Great British Baking Show. We even got to catch up on this week's. We watched it in the hotel in Missouri, so enjoyed that. What was this past week? This past week was... I don't remember. They had to do, it was Botanical Week. So they had to work with, florals and things of that nature, or florals and the design and stuff, so... It's interesting. All right, and then I finished reading or listening to a book called The Hatching, and it's by Ezekiel Boone. I gave it about 4 stars on Goodreads. The ending I thought was very rushed, and I was like, wait, what? But I enjoyed the ride leading up to it. It's about these ancient spiders who kind of hatch and then disperse over the world, and they're described as like swarms and almost a black mass of waves over people's bodies, then they pretty much eat you and or breathe inside of you. So there's that. If you don't like spiders, I would say, well, maybe listen to it, and maybe it'll really eke you out, freak you out. So there's that. And that's it. That's all I'm watching and reading.
Cool. I pulled out my phone mostly because...
I thought you were checking the time, so I was like, oh, yes, sir.
No. So I'm still reading These Wonders, which is a Moth collection of stories, and it's going really well because I'm really savoring those because I enjoy listening to the Moth, but I don't have the time to listen to the Moth, so I read a story here and there, and it's kind of like doing the same thing. I'm not really watching a whole lot of TV just because I don't have time, but I have been listening to a lot of new music, or new to me music, or re-listening to things that I loved and I forgot that I loved it. So one thing is Macklemore came out with a new song featuring Skylar Grey, and I've already, if you've watched previously, I have gushed about Macklemore and Ryan Lewis. Macklemore and Ryan Lewis are doing their own separate projects. They are two independent artists anyways, but for the first number of albums that Macklemore did, Ryan Lewis was on with him as well. But his new song is called Glorious, and it is so good. It's kind of, to me, it's in the same vein as, just a second. It is kind of in the same vein as one of his earlier songs, Can't Hold Us, and it's very upbeat, very uplifting, and I really enjoy it. Kendrick Lamar came out with his new CD called, I'm pretty sure, his CD is called Damn, but the song that I really enjoy is Humble. And then Haley, just kidding. Haley Steinfeld has a song out called Most Girls, and I think she did it on The Voice. I'm not for sure. I stumbled upon it on Pandora, but it's really good. So those are some of my music recommendations for this week. But I really do like Glorious by Macklemore featuring Skylar Grey. If I could pinpoint number one on my iTunes right now, that'd be it. So
awesome.
Yeah.
I was listening to a lot of music, and then I decided, I hear a lot of indie divers talk about listening to books while they die, and then because every time I'd listen to music, but I'd go into different rooms and you can't hear it, or you got this going on, or I'd watch podcasts, but I'd have to pause it when I was in the kitchen. So I started recently, the past couple of days while I'm working, listening to audiobooks with my earbuds in all day. So I'm sure it's super enjoyable for the dogs. Not that they matter because they're zonked out, but it's like silent all day because I'm just listening to books. So I will probably be flying through more books, and Andy goes, "That's so great for Audible," because I actually put my Audible account on hold because I knew I wasn't driving to work. So I was like, well, it's going to take longer to listen to books. Well, maybe not so much anymore because I'm going to finish a book here tomorrow.
But maybe maybe that's where you can do overdrive with the library.
Right, and I need to check. I had access to a 3M library app with my school, so I don't know if they've cut me off from that or not. But I have a couple books backed up. I had 3 credits, and I got 2-for-1 deal right before I canceled, so I had 6 books lined up. So there's that. All right, let's talk about our featured designer knit-along.
Yes. So our featured designer knit-along started on June 1 and will go until August 31. There is a sticky tab in our group thread, and you can knit any pattern from any of the designer that's featured on there. It can be a paid pattern, a pattern that you have in your library, a free pattern, doesn't matter. You can use any base of Leading Men, you can use any base of yarn, but if you use any base of Leading Men Fiber Arts, you can enter your finished object twice into the finished object thread.
There's not too many entries yet, so go take a look at those lists of featured designers, see if there's anything in your queue, anything you want to knit, anything that intrigues you, and you still got plenty of time.
Yeah, I mean, I plan on knitting something. I just haven't committed to that something yet because it'll probably, for me, be a fairly small project just because of time restraints that I already have with life.
Awesome. Let's talk stash enhancement. Callie forgot hers, so she's going to play Goody Goody Two Shoes again. But
I will say that I did get 2 skeins of hedgehog fibers because I'm going to do a girl from the grocery store, and I did get some Claudia hand paints in the campfire colorway.
So she's admitting. I was actually going to be a very, very good boy at the event. I was like, you know what? I just don't. I don't need anything. And then there was a new to me dyer who's relatively small and is still, been out about 2 years, still emerging. That's just a couple hours south of us, actually, on 55. And her husband helps her with the business, and they just seemed like really nice people. I went and talked over with them. She's a teacher. And so there was just very, very nice. And the colors, were intriguing me. And she came over and wanted to buy some of our yarn. And I said, go just take it over there. I'll come over there and we'll do a swap. So that was Victoria House Fibers, who I'd heard through the grapevine. And she's on Etsy. And I picked up 2 skeins of her silky sock. I was actually looking for a 4 skein combo to do the Bamba wrap by Ambo O'Brien, which I picked up Suburban Stitcher yarn at ZK for, but then realized it takes 4 skeins, not 3. So I picked a different Ambo O'Brien shawl. But I narrowed it down. Nothing was really selling me on 4 colors. So I picked 2 colors that I think complement each other really well, but yet will provide enough contrast for a shawl. I picked a shawl. I can't tell you what it is, but I picked a 2-color shawl today and put it with these 2 skeins. So this is her silky sock, which is 80% superwash merino, 20% silk, a 2-ply, 400 yards each. This one is in Dusty Peach, and this is in Lucky Penny. So I think those will be beautiful together when knit up, and then we'll go to a very lovely home. So it was so great meeting Victoria. If you're not following her, Victoria House Fibers on Instagram, check out her Etsy. I'll link them in the show notes. Good people. So that's all the stash enhancement that I have, other than the buttons that I put on my sweater. So. All right. Last but not least, we have our giveaway for this episode, and it is going to be some Barocco Weekend DK in color number 2144, which is squash. So I have a whole skein left over, and then I have about 60 some odd grams of a second skein. So I'm throwing this in this is a good scrap, and it will give you plenty of yardage to do something fun with. To be entered for this, you must be a member of our Ravelry group. I'll open up a thread for this, and the prompt this episode is, if you could live anywhere on Earth, where would you choose to live? I think that's interesting. So, you could live anywhere. Doesn't matter the cost of living, doesn't matter about moving there. If you could live there, where would you live?
What's your answer?
I don't know.
Mine would be Concord, Massachusetts.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never been to Hawaii, so I don't know. I thought that would be a really fun place to live because it's kind of nice all year round. But I don't know. I kind of just want to have life take me where it goes. So we'll see.
I was just laughing because there's sun there and you could get burnt.
Oh, in Hawaii. I thought you meant coming. Yeah. That was one thing Andy said. He's like, if we go someplace tropical, he's like, we need to find someplace to tan a couple times because he's like, I just don't want to burn to a crisp. And I'm super pasty compared to him, but we're both pretty pale. His face is, his head's all right, but the rest of him's pretty pale.
I don't know what this will translate to when it is when the video's uploaded, but you can tell this arm is way more tan than this arm, and that's because I've been driving quite a bit.
And you can tell both those arms are way tanner than my arms. So, all right, let's move into a round of applause. First off, I want to tell you about a brand new podcast hosted. One of the hosts, it's 2 hosts. One of the hosts is our friend Darlene of Bags by Awesome Granny, and her friend have decided to do a new podcast out on YouTube, and it's called Knitters Gotta Knit. So check that out on YouTube. I will be adding that to my lineup. Don't mind my phone. Somebody has... Oh. Yarn Hoarder has shared a post on Instagram. The only person I have notifications for. I don't even have them on for Callie.
I have them on for Amber and you.
I was like, I usually see Callie's, but she doesn't post as often. Whereas Amber posts a decent amount, and with the new algorithm, you don't see half your friends' posts. Gotta get off my soapbox before I even get on that. All right, so check out the Knitters Gotta Knit on YouTube. All right, so last episode we had a giveaway for the Minnesota 52 book that I picked up at the Zombie Knitpocalypse, written by our friends Megan and Corey. We gushed all over the patterns and how great this book is, not just the patterns, but the essays and the poem at the back and the recipe for some amazing granola bars. I know that Corey and Megan will be at Stitches Midwest, kind of doing some promotion of the book and things of that nature. So I'm very happy to give away a copy of the book. And so I closed the thread before we recorded, and the winner was number 49, who is Chiro Mom 2, and that's Kim from Washington. So congratulations, Kim. I asked for you to name a town or place in Minnesota in which you are familiar with or wish to visit. And a lot of people said they want to go to Rochester to visit ZK. And I say, you guys, make it happen.
Yeah.
It is an inexpensive, for the most part, retreat. It can be a little more expensive when you tack on, not housing, but your hotel and things like that.
Side trips.
Things of that nature. And if you like to eat, there's great restaurants. That all can get tacked on. But if you want to go on a budget, it is possible. Mm-hmm. So, Kim said she's familiar with some of Minneapolis and Champlin, Minnesota. Not her, Champlin. So, congratulations, Kim. Please email me via Ravelry, Dramatic Knits, and let me know your first and last name and mailing address, and I'll get the book out to you as soon as I can. Alright, I want to tell you about our July 2017 Race to the Finished Object contest. You can enter anything you finish in the month of July into that thread. You must be a member of the group. Post a picture in a separate post for each thing you finish in the month. That'll get you an entry in the drawing. We'll have a wonderful physical prize to give away, as well as a pattern from our featured designer, who is Barbara Benson, and she has, again, a YouTube channel as well, which I talked about on the last episode. I think it's Watch Barbara Knit. I could be wrong. I'm sorry. I subscribed to her. I did, or I put her in my Feedly, and then I'm still waiting to get caught up with her. So, and you can check out her patterns. We'll have them linked in our show notes, which can be found at dramaticknits.com. So, is there anything you would like to add?
No.
All right. I have my tub of yarn that has been updated over the past 2 weeks, and Callie's going to pick out 10 things while I tell you about our upcoming shows. So we're moving into Center Stage, which is all things Leading Men Fiber Arts. If you are not interested, then we bid you adieu, and we will see you in 2 weeks, or at least I will. Possibly not Callie for next time, but we understand. Life happens. So let me talk to you about some upcoming shows. I told you about Fiber U, great event. We hope to be back next year, barring any conflicts of scheduling. They are moving their show back a week, and that may cause a conflict of interest for us. But we have put in our application, and I have put in to teach again at that event, as long as it does not conflict. So coming up in 2 weeks, we will be vending at the Crochet Guild of America's Chain Link Conference. This conference has been going on, I believe, since the 90s. I heard from the Crochet Guild that I was speaking at, and they originally started this conference in Illinois, but it's been traveling for the past number of years, and they're excited to have it back in Illinois. So it's going to be right outside of Chicago in Itasca, Illinois, and that is July 27th through the 29th. It'll be a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I believe. No, Thursday night, Friday, Saturday show, and we've never done a crochet show before, so I don't know how many questions I can answer or patterns I can suggest, but we have a few crocheted samples we've got in to have in our booth for that event, and we're excited to see a new crowd of people there. So check us out if you're in the area. And then the week after that, literally the next week, is Stitches Midwest, which is our biggest show of the year by far. We are trying to get as much ready for that as we can. That is going to be August 3rd through 6th. That's a Thursday night through Sunday. That's held in Schaumburg, Illinois, at the Renaissance Center. So definitely check that out. They have sold out of all their booths, so it is going to be a packed market. I do have our booth numbers. We are in 3 booths. We're in booths 227 through 231. So we're all the way at the end of the first aisle. If you go in and turn right, go all the way down, we'll be on your right hand. No, turn left, we'll be all the way down on your right hand side. And then 2 weeks after that, we are going to be at the Michigan Fiber Festival. Again, it's going to be a smaller booth, not our normal setup. We were a last-minute addition to the Michigan Fiber Festival, but we're super happy to be attending. And that's August 18th through the 20th in Allegan, Michigan. So those are our upcoming shows through August. And then we'll talk September next time we record. So, let me show you what Callie has selected of all the things that we've updated over the past 2 weeks. There is much more than this, so definitely check out the website, leadingmenfiberarts.bigcartel.com. And let's get started. So, first up, we have on our Show Stealer base, which is our MCN base, a little bit of cashmere, never hurt anybody, in the Masquerade colorway. And then that's followed up by our callback base, which is a sport weight in Tequila Sunrise, which you saw me knitting the hat out of earlier in the show. And then, you know, Halloween's going to be here before you know it. So on our Showstopper base, which is our 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, great for socks, we have Fright Night. And then also on Showstopper, we have Steady Beat. That's followed up on Box Office. We have I'll Meet You by the Mistletoe. Get a little bit of holiday action early in the game. You know, everyone's trying to net holiday gifts or things for the holidays. Well, it's Christmas in July, y'all. And then Callie's partial to this, of course, because she created this colorway. On Dramaturg, our DK weight base, we have Poison Ivy, which a lot of people actually buy this for the holidays as well. It's just kind of a darker version.
Yeah, I kind of lined them up based on how I felt they went in the year.
And then on Showstopper, we have Alien Attack. Now, the light, our fake sunlight, is making this much brighter than it is. It is bright, but it is not one of our neon colorways. I mean, it's bright. It's a bright chartreuse colorway. On Showstopper as well, there's a lot of sock yarn in the shop. If you like sock yarn, we have Sucker Punch. Then on Showstopper Intermission, this is a half skein, a 50-gram skein of Showstopper, is long stocking. So we don't do variegateds on our Intermission a whole lot. Usually if we have them requested for wholesale orders, and there's extras. And then last but not least, on Show Stealer again, we have Sunny Side Up. Which I wonder what we're going to do for dinner. Maybe we'll go to the diner and I'll have some breakfast.
I had breakfast for dinner.
So, those are just some of the highlights of what's been updated. Again, you can find the shop at leadingmenfiberarts.bigcartel.com. Follow us on Facebook as Leading Men Fiber Arts and Instagram. And if you have not joined our Ravelry group for Leading Men Fiber Arts or the podcast, Dramatic Knits, a video podcast group, we'd love to have you in one, if not both of those places. And, yeah, so I think that's pretty much it. You can find us as well on YouTube and iTunes. Make sure to subscribe, leave comments, star ratings, and reviews. We'd greatly appreciate it. And until I see you next time,
we hope you
knit something dramatic.